All right, good evening. Hope y'all can hear us okay. We're kind of changed our spot up here a little bit tonight for our Facebook Live. I'm Justin.
This and is Alicia.
And we want to come to you and talk to you about a concept that I've heard a couple different times at some conferences I've been at, and we've talked about it a little bit. This whole perception of how we view life. And so the title of this little talk is, what is the relationship between between faith and fear? Faith and fear, what is it? And we've been thinking a lot about this because there is a very interesting little similarity or connection here. You know that faith and fear are both the same sides of the same or different sides of the same coin, right? They're
exactly.
Opposite sides of the same coin. And it's interesting, both of them are demanding you to believe in something you cannot see. And that's interesting. Mm-hmm. You're going to have faith in something, and you have faith because you can't actually see it now. Or you're going to be afraid or fearful of something. And why are we afraid of something?
You can't see that either.
Because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. And so, some of us go through life, living in fear. And why? Why don't we just go through life being excited, expecting something positive, great, be having faith that everything's going to work out, that we're going to win the lottery or whatever it is? Why do we have a tendency to err on the other side and always think that the earth's going to fall on us, that we're doom and gloom, we're going to get run over, we're going to die,
worst case
we're going to lose all our money, we're going to, whatever it is, we're struck by lightning. Some of us, we can choose. We have the coin in our hands. And so we choose heads or tails. And life is not supposed to be something that you take the coin, you flip it in the air and let it fall, and just whichever way it lands, then that's how we're going to feel. That's how we're going to believe. We can actually choose. Mm-hmm. For us, you can choose to always be heads, or you can always be tails.
That's right.
And so, but the reality is, what does it come down to? What makes the difference? Well, the reality is with a coin is that regardless whether it's heads or whether it's tails, it's still money. It's still a coin, right? The fact is, it's still a coin. It doesn't matter if it's heads or tails. And so that's the same thing for us. We have to focus on is what is the facts? What is the truth? What is the numbers? In real estate, it's very important that you don't rely upon your positive belief, just faith that, oh my God, this deal's going to be awesome. It's going to work out great. I don't care what people say. I don't care what the numbers say, but we're going to make it happen. It's going to work. That's dangerous.
Exactly.
On the other hand, you can't look at every deal and look at all the bad things going to happen. I'm going to lose all my tenants. It's going to burn down. I'm going to get struck by lightning. It's going to have a flood, a tornado, and you'll never take action. The fact of the matter is, you've got to look at the numbers. You've got to look at what is the reality. What's the statistics. And you have to base your decisions, your feelings on that. And that's in every area of our life, whether it be our jobs, our relationships, our beliefs. It comes down to, for us, what do you believe? You have to rely on what is the truth. What is the truth of what you believe? Mm-hmm. And because you're going to have all kinds of feelings. You're going to have high feelings, have low feelings. You're going to feel up, you're going to feel down.
It can all happen in the same moment.
Yeah. It can be quite a ride, quite a roller coaster.
That's right.
And that's what we want to talk about tonight is just the whole concept of, what drives you? What causes you to act? What causes you to react? How do you ground yourself? Because really that's what we're talking about, is grounding ourselves.
Right.
Not being a hot air balloon or just one of those balloons. You ever had those helium balloons you blow up and then you let go and that thing just whatever, the kids do that noise
no
better.
idea where it's gonna
and stuff. But the reality is, we have to ground ourselves. And so we have to, no matter which way the wind's blowing, whether it's this way or it's blowing us down or up, as long as you're attached to something solid, you can still be confident. And that's what it comes down to. So we can choose. We can choose, what we're going to believe. Yes, we have the moment. All we have is the moment right now. We have what we can see. But we also have... Nice, Brad. Do that balloon thing again. Yeah, hey, that's another story.
Frank got it. He's multiplying out.
Yeah, there you go. That's the big balloon. We can choose, how we're going to, from what we've seen happen in the past. That's important. From what we've seen other people demonstrate. They've gone ahead of us. What we've seen written down, what we've seen proven, proven systems. And that is what we need to be looking at to help us actually make the right decision and keep going when we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what it's going to happen tomorrow, or when the sunlight comes out again, how's it going to look? How are we going to know whether we should get out of bed or not? Is it worth it and stuff? But if we know that, hey, we got a plan, we're excited, we don't care if it's raining, we don't care if it's blistering hot and sunny, whatever it is, we got a plan and we're going to act regardless.
It's not based on those anymore.
Yeah, it's not based on feeling. And so that's something I hadn't really thought of. I had never considered seeing faith and fear as the same thing, only going in the opposite direction.
Exactly.
One's positive, one's negative, but it's still a belief. It's still something that we can't see. That maybe someone or something has put the thought in our mind, but it actually hasn't happened. And so here's a little formula that we came up with that can help you if you're a fearful person, like I have struggled with plenty of fears. But here's a little formula. Fear plus fact actually will equal faith. That'll bring faith. That'll bring faith. It'll be confidence. Take your fears, bring in the fact, the reality, the truth, and then all of a sudden when you start seeing that, you'll all of a sudden find out that, hey, maybe this isn't so realistic, or maybe it's not the only way, or maybe that's not what we're doing. And reground yourself and focus yourself on what are you doing? Why are you heading this direction? Why have you chose this at the beginning? And so think about that. We have to, in real estate, in your job, in life, you got to run the numbers, and you have to base yourself off the numbers, and you also have to, know the facts and know what's true, what's not. It's kind of like an airplane pilot that's flying through the sky, and everything's great. As long as there's no clouds, as long as it's not dark, as long as he can see the ground, see the mountains, and see exactly where he's going, see the airport up there before he goes lands. Well, guess what? What happens when all of a sudden a big rainstorm comes in and it's completely cloud or it's dark? And what does he do then? I would freak out. That's why it's a good thing I'm not a pilot, piloting a plane. But the reality is that a good pilot stays calm, and what does he do? He looks at his instruments. He looks at the instruments. And even though he may feel like the plane's going down in a nosedive, but he has to trust the instruments, that the instruments are saying, nope, you're going levels, follow here. There's been many stories of pilots that have not trusted their instruments in the middle of the storm or when they're flying through mountainous terrain. And they were convinced in their mind that they were actually going straight, but their instruments showed they were going down. They're like, no, it can't be. And sure enough, they didn't follow their instruments. They didn't follow, the computer that was there that has no feeling, but it's just programmed to do what it's supposed to do.
The numbers.
And follows the numbers, follows the formulas, follows what the programming has been programmed. And they wrecked. And it's all because they relied upon their instinct, their feeling, their perception of what was going on instead of following instruments. And that's it's such an important principle that we have to realize and realize in our own life. We have to stop and figure out, for one, who are we? What's the truth about us? What is our identity? What is our purpose? Where are we trying to go? What's our goals? What's our plan? And you have to have those things pre-planned out. Because it never fails. It'll always happen that when you get going throughout your day, as you get moving forward, whatever, start living your life, next thing you know, you're going to have all kinds of feelings. You're going to have all kinds of perceptions. You're going to have all kinds of people saying things. You're going to have all kinds of thoughts come into your mind.
All kinds of voices.
All kinds of voices. And if you don't, have facts to rely on, if you don't have numbers to run, if you don't have things in line to ground you and to give you a basis which to guide yourself on, then you're going to either crash or you're going to go way up and end up crashing either way. You're going to live you're not going to live a sustainable lifestyle. And that's what we're all about, being able to enjoy the ride, go up and down, but have a basis by which to guide ourselves. So speak the truth. One interesting fact about fear. That fear is the only thing that actually gets smaller as you run towards it. Think about that. Fear is the only thing that gets smaller as you run towards it. And most everything else gets bigger as you get closer to it, right? But fear is the one thing, when you actually start facing your fears and running towards them, they start dissipating. They start getting smaller. You start realizing that, oh my God, that was mostly all in my mind, all in my brain, all made up. It wasn't based off fact. It's not based off reality. It's not based off truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the important aspect to keep in mind.
Right.
And what's one way to figure out what our fears are or where we're off track? One of the best ways to do is listen to yourself. What do you say? What's the first thing that comes out of your mind? Because, your belief determines your behavior, right? And so what is it that you actually say, when something goes wrong, when something goes good? What's the first words that come to your mind? Or, so many times I hear, like I was watching one of my kids, and they were doing something, they messed up, and they said, man, I'm a dummy, or something. They said, I'm a failure, I can never do this.
Never do it right.
And I was like, oh my God, think about the words. Because what is that revealing? That's revealing right there that there's a limiting belief. There's a limiting belief right there. And that limiting belief is not based off fact. It's not based off the truth. It's not based off anything but just his feeling, her feeling at the time. And that is definitely going to propel them into fear and propel them into a direction of destruction and a direction of getting off track and cause themselves more damage or cause them to do not even want to go at all, want them to stop and pull back and stuff. So listen to your language. What do you say? What comes out of your mouth? And then finally, the reality is we've all been born as innocent children, as kids. Think about a young child when it comes out. Are they really afraid of anything? Yeah, they scream and cry, and stuff. But like my little youngest, Emma, my little girl, she even still is amazing. She'll come over and stand at the top of the stairs, and then I'll put my arms out to her, and she'll just fall. If I were to step out of this way, she would just literally nosedive and crash and break her nose and knock her teeth out, something. But she'll just fall. Because in her mind, it's a no-brainer. It's nothing has ever not happened this way. I've always caught her. And as far as she's concerned, in her mind, that's all she thinks of. As soon as I put my hands out, she just falls down right towards me because she knows in her mind I'm going to catch her. Now, some of the older ones, they'll still do it, but honestly, it's a little more hesitant now. When I say jump, they also sit there and say, for real, Dad, are you going to catch me? Are you going to move? What's going to happen? Now, they've either had some bad experiences. They've had people actually step out of the way and let them have a nosedive, maybe whatever. Or they are imagining something that, could happen. But the reality, has it ever happened with me? No. I've never once told my kids to jump and never not been able to catch them. Because I don't tell them to jump unless I'm confident that I can actually catch them. And so that's the reality, what is the truth? And so we need to, it's important also to figure out what are we basing our truth, our facts. What is our baseline? Are we following a successful plan? Are we following a proven system? Are we, modeling our behavior after someone that has succeeded before? And stuff, and so that's important. So you can't just have blind faith or, dismiss fear, because if you don't have a good basis, a good grounds, a good facts, or have real truth you're basing your life off of, then you do have it doesn't matter how much positive believing, how much positive truth, how much you believe, have faith, it's not going to do anything. It is going to turn to fear, because the reality is it's ungrounded. Mm-hmm. It's got to be grounded. Mm-hmm. And stuff. And so that brings us to the final thing is that we've got to, number one, take time to figure out or think or become aware of our limiting beliefs, and then figure out what is the truth for them. Are they right? Are they wrong? Take some time to figure them out. So once you deal with it, then you can keep reminding yourself that, hey, that's not right. That's not true. But sometimes and many times, and honestly, I believe every one of us needs to come to the place or have the time in our life when we need to borrow the belief of someone else in us to get us going, and help give us a basis. And that's where your relationships you have in your life are so important. Ultimately, God in your life is the most important. That's the ultimate truth that can be relied upon, God's word, and so that's the most important. But then also who you hang around, who you align yourself with. Are you hanging out with winners? You know, if you hang out with winners, it's a better chance you're going to become a winner than if you just hang out and base your life off of losers or people that don't have a track record or are not succeeding or not willing to succeed. Anyone can succeed. It's just all a matter of your belief. And if you're willing to take the right action, if you know what the right action is, if you're basing your decisions off of fact or truth or faith, or if it's off your feelings, if it's off of what you just think could happen, but it's not grounded in anything that's right, or if something you think bad is going to happen or won't happen, and whether that's based off fact or truth or what's right. And stuff. So I don't know. You know, we're still thinking about this and meditating on this, but it's an interesting thought.
Musings.
You know, of how faith and fear are related, right. And how both of them, you know, need to have a grounding force. And so I don't know. Think about your beliefs right now and what you're doing. Are you a person that just has a tendency to always believe the worst, always be negative, always seeing what the bad that could happen? They could always think something wrong is going to happen, or not willing to take action because you're afraid of what could happen. You know? Or are you one that sees potential in everything? Are you one that is ready to walk through water, you know, jump off cliffs? Are you one that's ready to? Either way, you know, you choose which way you're going to live, because we don't know what's happening tomorrow. You know, we don't know what's going to happen in the next few minutes. All we know is what we know right now. And we have to be willing to know, are we going to believe in that something good's going to happen to us, or are we going to believe that we're destined just to have bad things happen to us? And it's just amazing the power of our beliefs, you know, and we've got to also be educating ourselves, training ourselves, learning, aligning ourselves with others that are succeeding in what we want. You know, I have brought, the best things I've ever done is bring coaches in my life that I looked at and said, you know what, they are succeeding, they have something going on that, you know, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I want to tap into the principles, the truths, the facts, the principles, the proven systems that they have tried, they're proven and tried and true, and I want to start implementing those in my life. And then, you know, it gives me confidence to then start believing that something good can happen, even though my situation might look bad, as opposed to, you know, just trying to reinvent the wheel, just hope for the best, or just, you know, not trust anything good can happen to me, and just always look through a lens of fear and doubt.
Well, and a lot of times those coaches see bigger picture too. You know, they're not just like, sometimes we're so in the trenches, all we can see is this, and they see bigger, so they can give a bigger perspective. And yeah.
And so I tell you, there's nothing more important than speaking the truth to each other. You know, we need to hear from each other. We need to hear, and we can't read each other's minds, we can't read each other's thoughts. And it's so easy for us to get just wrapped up into our feelings, our emotions, our fears, our doubts. And there's some people that get so wrapped up into their faith, into just blind faith. You know, it's not based off anything. You know, that's dangerous too. But most of us don't have that problem. Most of us don't err on the side of just like having positive faith. I'd rather err on that side, you know, as opposed to the other side. Most of us are controlled by fear, and we're pulled down. And it's amazing how, you know, it's just a word of truth spoken to each other, spoken to someone, can actually make or break. You know, one thing, a few weeks back, I was going through a time myself of kind of, I don't know, I'd gotten my eyes off of the truth of who I was, what my purpose is. I kind of got my eyes off of the reality of where I've come, of where I'm at. And Alicia, my amazing wife, wrote me this note here, which I'm not going to read you every aspect of it. Some of it's secret. But I'm going to give you a little feel for what she wrote to me that actually helped give me a new perspective and ground me and caused me to be willing to get my spirits up, my focus up, and start having faith instead of fear. And she wrote, Justin, blah, 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 blah. God has created you for greatness. He has made you a strong leader and authority, and is using you to touch and influence many. I mean, that right there is a truth. that, and of course she wrote more, but that just gives you a little taste. She just wrote those to me and gave me truth that I can, in note form, that I can take out, that I can actually look at, and I can be reminded of. And it was just what I needed to hear to help me also get up and say, you know what, that's the truth. You know, I don't feel like it right now. I feel like a failure. I feel like, you know, I'm fearful. I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like things are out of control. I feel like that, you know, I need to back up, pull back. You know, it's like I need to go back to. But the reality is that no, you know, we are not following just wishful thinking. We are following a path that we chose, that we've planned out. We are basing our decisions off truths, habits that are success-building habits, even though we don't see the results yet. You know, the sobering reality is that most people don't stick with doing a habit or following the truth or stick with a positive belief long enough to actually see the results, to actually reap the benefit or actually experience the fruit of it.
I heard that just recently. So many people quit in the 11th hour. Like, you push so hard and you work so hard and you know it's going to work, and then right before it happens, it comes to fruition and you're like, oh, it's too much. I can't.
Yeah.
And so many people quit right then.
So I want to tell you right now, if you have been struggling, if you've been battling, look, we are in the 11th hour of 2019. It's almost 2020 and stuff. Just think about that. But if you feel like that you haven't reached your goals, if you feel like that you haven't achieved, if you feel like you're a failure, let me tell you, what you need to do is you need to keep doing exactly what you know you need to do. You need to keep doing exactly what you told yourself you're going to do, and you need to keep doing it. Don't worry about what you feel. Don't worry about what you see. You just keep on doing it, because I promise you, you will see the result, and you will if you will keep doing it. Because so many of us, haven't you heard that it's darkest before dawn?
That's right.
It's so many sobering and so many crazy, you know, pictures you see in nature of the reality of life. You know, of how, you know, it seems like it gets dark right before dawn, you know, comes out, and that's the reality. And so I just want to basically, I don't know, you know, exactly take what we say, you know, whatever stands out to you, or whatever, you know, whatever you see here, because there's a lot here. We're just skimming the surface of this, but I want you to hopefully catch a glimpse of the reality that you choose. Because whether you have faith, whether you have fear, it's a belief that you choose to follow. So you need to figure out, you know, what is the fact? What is the truth? Who are you? What's your purpose? What's your passion? You know, and keep going. What is my goals? You know, what is, you know, what is my, and if you don't have a truth, if you don't have a basis, if you don't have goals, then yes, then you do have grounds for concern. Right. You know, because even your faith may be taking you off track. Because it has to be a faith grounded in reality. It has to be a faith grounded in something that aligns with who you are, and who you are as a person and stuff. But ultimately, if you have fears, that is a telltale sign that either you aren't focusing on the fact, or you don't have truth by which to guide yourself from. And so you need to take some time, stop, and just refocus on what's going on, who you are. And let me tell you, you know, you can break through it.
That's right.
And you can succeed. And so, any other thoughts on that?
I think you got it.
All right. Well, let's not just flip a coin and just let life happen. Let's choose that. Let's choose to be heads all the time, every day. You know, it should never be a time we choose tails, because it's a coin. It's money. It doesn't matter if it's heads or tails. Why not choose heads? Okay. Let's go for the top. Let's go up. Let's have faith. But let's have it based off money, off real sense, off real fact, real numbers. And let the numbers win, all right? No matter how you feel, 1 + 1 = 2. Doesn't matter if you think it's wrong, whether you don't feel it's right now, doesn't make sense to you, that's the fact. Doesn't matter which way you look at it, 1 + 1 = 2. All right?
And if you're struggling and having a hard time and you need somebody to speak some truth in life, and just, you know, somebody that might have a bigger perspective or could just kind of help, Justin and I would love to help however we can. So reach out, let us know, and
yeah, exactly. And we got a couple coaching program options we can help you with. We'd just be happy to talk with you and give you some pointers or give you a perspective. You know, we'll give you an outside perspective, maybe give you a couple little tweaks and adjustments. I was talking to someone earlier today. I made a lot of phone calls today, I was talking to someone about the significance of why I like going to different networking events and groups and visiting with different people all the time and always rubbing shoulders with other business professionals or people that are heading in the same direction I'm heading, that are inspired and excited about life. Because it's so amazing how one little perspective, one little relationship, one little tweak can just make all the difference. And you may not even realize it right now, but it makes all the difference. And stuff. So, you know, you don't. Life is not just supposed to be a lone wolf experience.
Don't do it by yourself.
Life is a team sport. We need each other. You know, we're called the body for a reason. We're made to be communal creatures. You know, we like community. We're made for community. You know, we don't have everything we need. You know, we can survive. We're amazing. Our bodies are amazing and stuff. But in order to ultimately have a sustainable longevity, you know, we need others. We need input. We need, you know, our bodies need all the parts that we have. Yes, we can lose a few. We can go short term without some and stuff. But ultimately, we don't want to, you know, try to live the rest of our life that way.
But you also have to be careful of who you surround yourself with, because those, you know, that community can drag you down and pull you more towards fear, or that community can also increase your faith and push you in that direction. So get in the right community and let us know if we can help.
Yep, absolutely. So I hope you all have a good night. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to seeing you next week as we come and talk about some more of the little truths and principles and little things that we're learning along our journey of life.
That's right.
All right.
Good
Have a
night.
great night.